And so, yay, good morning to yourself as we close our eyes and turn inward, taking a deep, full breath in. And as we exhale, landing eyes closed or gaze downward to tune out the visual stimuli that stimulates the mind. And just begin to notice what supports you. Notice the ground beneath the feet, the ground beneath the pelvis. Notice what's supporting the hands. Notice the length of the spine that moves downward and upward. Notice the support of the head. Take in a deep breath. And as you exhale, see if the body's weight can surrender a little bit more deeply into that support that's almost always here for us. And as we arrive in this steady and stable place of support physically, can we just take that in to our mind as we practice stabilizing the mind, quieting the thoughts, not with effort, but simply with awareness of this moment right now. Finding the ground of this moment. Opening the windows of the senses invites us into the present moment. We can bring awareness to our sense of hearing and notice the sound vibrations, those that are distant, beyond the walls that surround us. The sounds of birds or cars passing by, machines. Just noticing what we notice, and also the sound vibrations that are nearer. Perhaps the ticking of a clock, the sound of the HVAC system, the sound of voices or footsteps. And now inviting in our sense of touch, noticing any contact with the body, contact of the floor beneath the feet, the pressure points on the sitting bones as we sit on our cushions or chairs. Feeling the touch on the hands as they rest on the lap or someplace else. Perhaps you can feel the flow of air, noting the temperature, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Opening up the sense of touch. And what we feel and what we hear is happening right now in this moment. And moving to our sense of smell, which may be more subtle. Our sense of taste, and then inviting the eyes to just open slightly, just half mast, letting in some light, noticing form, color, and with a diffused gaze, that what we see before us is occurring right now. And then inviting the eyes to close once again, or just remain half mast. Letting all the senses be open. And as we continue to stabilize the mind, to quiet the thoughts without any effort, it's a matter of what we choose to pay attention to bring our awareness to those elements that invite the present moment, awareness of what is happening now, to directly experience what is arising right now. And as we sense the breath, the rhythm of the breath that moves through the body, we know the quality of the inhalation and how it's quite different from the exhalation. And we can turn an inquiring and curious mind to simply notice the difference. We can notice where the breath feels fullest, in what part of the body, whether it be the belly or around the rib cage. And even around the rib cage, we can discern and fine tune even more. Is it the sides of the rib cage, the left and the right? Might it be the front of the rib cage, moving forward and then back in? Or even the back of the rib cage, expanding and contracting behind us. And perhaps the breath feels fullest up into the chest, closer to the collarbones. And as we open the aperture of curiosity, just simply noticing each and every breath as it comes, noticing the slight and the subtle variations, all the while inviting us to stay right here in this moment. And for many of us, this may feel like home. The mental habits of the mind that travel far and wide. It can feel very refreshing and grounding to come back home to this body, to the breath. In the words of Wendell Berry, And the world cannot be discovered by a journey of miles, no matter how long, but only by a spiritual journey, a journey of 1 inch, very arduous and humbling and joyful, by which we arrive at the ground of our own feet and learn to be at home. And from this place of home, we might set an intention that sets the tone for our day, a tone that sets the groundwork for our week, perhaps even our entire life. Sensing the rhythm of the breath arising and falling away, making space for the new breath. And just like there are times in our lives where we get into our cars and we drive somewhere that we've planned ahead of time, and it can be joyful, stimulating to experience something new, a new place, new people, new experiences. And sometimes we do this for a longer period of time where we get into a plane and we fly somewhere far away. And we may be there for several days or even several weeks or months. But then we always return back home again. As we put the key in the doorknob and open the door and walk through the threshold, here is this place that greets us, that grounds us, that welcomes us again with open arms. And while everything is familiar, everything may also look fresh and new as our perspective has changed. And so, likewise, each time the mind travels, perhaps planning a trip, thoughts or stories reflecting on something in the past, whatever the place is that the mind may travel to, all we need do is return our attention to the breath, to open the senses, to arrive back home, arriving home to the breath, the body. And the world cannot be discovered by a journey of miles, no matter how long, but only by a spiritual journey, a journey of 1 inch, very arduous and humbling and joyful, by which we arrive at the ground of our own feet and learn to be at home. So let us practice the practice, sitting with these bodies in relative stillness, steadying the mind, quieting the thoughts, without any effort, but by surrendering to the present moment, opening our aperture of awareness to what is arriving now. When we become aware that we're traveling miles away in the mind with our thinking, our planning, our figuring out, problem solving, we're lost in memories, lost in hopes, or whatever, wherever the mind may be traveling, we can simply notice that to bring awareness to all of that. And because our emotions are interwoven with our thoughts, we can listen to the heart of emotions. We can tend to a heavy heart with compassion, with tenderness. And if there's lightness in the heart, we can simply savor and be with that. We can simply notice the shifts of how emotions influence thought and thoughts influence emotions. Skillfully and mindfully responding to whatever may be needed to comfort ourselves or bring in reassurance or an affirmation. All is well in this moment. We've gone through tough times before and we can again. Reminding ourselves of our growing wisdom. And then coming right back home again after this journey. Back home, right here, this body with all of its myriad sensations. This breath that's arising now. And all the vast experience of the world that surrounds coming through the senses. calling ourselves back home. If we've traveled miles, and we'll end our practice today with loving kindness, metta. So we might bring a hand to the heart as a way to touch into our capacities of compassion, of love, of hope, offering blessings, prayers, loving kindness. Let's begin with ourselves. We can say each phrase to ourselves and feel it resonate through the whole body, mind, spirit. May I be healthy and strong. May I be safe from all harm. May I be free of suffering. May I be may I be at peace. And offering any other personal metta for yourself. And offering from this place of open-heartedness, loving kindness to all beings everywhere. May all beings be healthy and strong. May all beings be safe from harm. May all beings be free of suffering. May all beings be at peace. And offering yourself and all beings everywhere one last loving kindness blessing. Bringing our hands together at our heart center in prayer in Anjali Mudra, bowing to our hearts, forgiving ourselves this time, bowing to the land we sit upon and all those indigenous peoples who cultivated it to make it habitable for us. And bowing to each other in this Sangha. Namaste. Thank you all for sharing this practice with us today.